Founded to help shape the leaders of tomorrow, the Cherokee Nation Youth Council is a testament to Cherokee Nation's investment in the next 7 generations. The Youth Council gives young citizens a front row seat to Cherokee democracy in action and a voice in their tribe's government. Osio Nagad, Jen Loren Dawado, Noxi Chalagi Gadi. Welcome to Chalagi, wherever we are. Today we are learning about the Cherokee Youth Council. We'll start the show with remarks from Principal Chief of the Cherokee Nation, Chuck Hoskin Jr. Then Chief Hoskin will join me here for a brief Q&A on this topic. And after that, Deputy Chief Bryan Warner will sit down with Lisa Trice Turtle to hear her philosophy on leading the council. Next, former members Camerin Fite James and Chelbie Turtle will join me for a conversation about their time on the council and how it impacted their lives. And finally, we are excited to bring you a traditional Cherokee story from Whitney Roach. And now it is my pleasure to introduce my friend and Principal Chief of the Cherokee Nation, Chuck Hoskin Jr., for his remarks.
Osio, for more than 3 decades, the Cherokee Nation Youth Council has proven to be one of the tribe's most enduring and effective investments in the future of Cherokee leadership. Established in the late 1980s, the Youth Council was created with a clear purpose: to cultivate young Cherokees who understand their government, value their culture, and are prepared to serve their people with integrity. Over time, that vision has translated into measurable, lasting success. The Youth Council functions as a hands-on leadership laboratory. Members commit to a year of service that immerses them in the Cherokee Nation Constitution, tribal history, and cultural heritage, including language preservation. They attend council meetings, engage directly with elected leaders, and provide meaningful input on issues affecting Cherokee youth. This exposure builds practical skills in civic engagement, public speaking, policy awareness, and teamwork, skills that cannot be learned in the classroom alone. Just as important, the program fosters responsibility and service. Youth Council members maintain high academic standards, organize community service projects, and serve as role models for fellow Cherokees. Through this experience, participants learn that leadership is rooted in accountability, listening, and community connection, not just titles or authority. The long-term impact is evident in the program's alumni. Many former Youth Council members have gone on to work for the Cherokee Nation, serve in Indian country leadership roles, and contribute to public service at the state and national levels. Their continued engagement demonstrates that the Youth Council is not symbolic, it is a sustainable leadership pipeline. By empowering young people early, the Cherokee Nation Youth Council ensures that future leaders are grounded in Cherokee values, equipped with real-world skills, and ready to carry the nation forward for generations to come. Wado.
Welcome, Chief Hoskin. Thanks for joining me again today.
Sure.
Just wanted to ask you a few questions about this. So when it comes to the Youth Council, in what ways does the Youth Council help young Cherokees develop the skills and maybe confidence too that they might need to serve communities and the nation long term?
Yeah, you know, what you said about confidence, I think, is the central piece of it. All young people, no matter where you are, who you are, you're sort of finding your way. And some young people don't know if they see themselves being leaders. And so the Youth Council puts them in a position to be leaders. I think that builds confidence. They get to challenge themselves in things like public speaking, interacting with leaders that are in the Cherokee Nation and sometimes outside the Cherokee Nation. They get real world experience in terms of watching government work, but also thinking about how government should work. And that's really central as well. So confidence and then thinking about what they want their nation to be. And it's a great place to really hone some skills. I really admire our program and the people that participate in it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's a really successful program. And so why is it important, though, for young people to have that direct voice? I mean, I guess they do. And I know they have the awareness about their tribal government when going through this, but do they have that direct voice? And if so, is it important?
They do. There's a lot of respect for the program, and that's a credit to the people running the program. But they give young people an opportunity to speak up, speak out, and to do a fair amount of listening. And so when we meaning those of us in leadership, encounter a youth council member, we know that they're getting a great grounding in how public service should be. But we also know that they all have great ideas and potential. And I can think of people that work in my office and throughout the Cherokee Nation who started out on the youth council. And I know that that opportunity gave them a chance to realize they can make a difference even at this young age at the youth council. So it's just an amazing program.
So looking ahead, what role do you believe the Youth Council will continue to play in strengthening Cherokee sovereignty and looking ahead to future generations?
Yeah, it's really all about developing young people to be leaders, no matter what they choose. Not every person who goes on the youth council may find their way into politics, but they could find their way into some type of leadership, whether it's in their community, in their faith, in their profession. Lots of opportunities out there. I think as our nation grows, does more, has higher ambition, which we continue to grow, getting into different industries and challenging policy areas that we hadn't maybe been in before, that just means there's a bigger need for a generation coming up to want to do something about those challenging policy areas, get into those industries as Cherokees. And so I just think as we continue to grow as a tribe, there's going to be even greater potential and greater opportunity for people that are on the youth council. I mean, if you're a youth counselor today, you're seeing your nation do things that weren't ever imagined just a few generations ago. The trajectory we're on in another generation, it'll be things you and I can't even imagine right now. So it's good times ahead, I think, for the youth council.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your leadership and for including our youth. Appreciate it. Next, we turn it over to my friend, Deputy Chief Bryan Warner, who is chatting with Lisa Trice Turtle. Deputy?
What ho, Jen? CO to God, this is Deputy Principal Chief Bryan Warner here yet again with another episode of Cherokees Wherever We Are. Today we get to talk about something that is very exciting and I really think it's very sacred to what we do, and that is our Cherokee Nation Tribal Youth Council. So important, and I'm joined here today by an individual that knows so much about this. As a matter of fact, she might have been a part of the council herself at one time. Many of you know her. It's Miss Lisa Trice Turtle. Lisa, thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
Well, thank you.
Well, good. Well, let's, Lisa, I've had the opportunity, been blessed to get to know you since my time here from 2015 on to now. I think you're a remarkable individual. You've raised two remarkable daughters. You do such a good job. I see you everywhere. I see you at large events. I see you here. Something that I really know is near and dear to your heart, and that's the Tribal Youth Council. So tell me about like its inception and then maybe a little bit of how you've seen it evolve over time.
It was the summer of 1989. So there was a youth conference held at Sequoia High School, and it was a youth vocational conference.
Okay.
And so individuals like myself, had the interest to, hey, I can do that, let me try. And so we did full-blown campaign throughout the week, and all the youth participants voted that Friday, the end of the conference, and then we had a tribal youth council.
Okay.
And so we met, and then it was the summer, and then we thought, well, now what? We don't want it to end.
Right.
And we want it to be sustained for generations to generations, So we asked for a meeting with Chief Mankiller at that time. And so we went to see her. And so we asked her, how do we make this Tribal Youth Council sustained and live on forever and ever so other youth can have an opportunity? And she said, by resolution. So October 14th, 1989, right here in this room, the Tribal Council passed unanimously the resolution for the establishment of a Tribal Youth Council.
That is awesome. Well, in reference to the resolution that you mentioned early on about how we kind of the inception and getting this started, here, Chief Hoskin, myself, we worry a lot about sustainability. So tell me, is there any type of legislative acts or anything that give us that cemented into law here for the Tribal Youth Council?
Yes, absolutely. In addition to the resolution, there was a legislative act passed in 2021 for the establishment of a Tribal Youth Council that really just puts it into law, So I'm so thankful for the leadership of Chief Hoskin and yourself, Deputy, and the Council for that sustainability. So, yes.
Well, that's so important that we, when you look at these things, and I know that's something that these kiddos out there can learn about, the difference in a resolution and the difference in a legislative act, and then learn about Legistar and all these places to find these things and what's the significance and the meaning. Very important that we have those key components in a youth leadership program. Tell me a little bit about some of the fundamental principles that are developed and different things within that Tribal Youth Council as they kind of evolve through their term.
Well, first and foremost, the Youth Council was established to give youth an opportunity to learn more about the government structure, our history, our language, our culture, and also the community service component to giving back. So we found great pride in attending community meetings, learning from the Tribal Council themselves. What do they do? How do they help folks? And we just got right in there and helped. One of our first community projects for that first inaugural year in '89 was a coat drive that we did for kids. And so it's evolved every year for, 37 years now. 37 years. And recently we've done things with collecting stuffed animals and giving to our marshal service, done things like that. Just the gamut. We're always willing to help.
Right. So you were a part of that inaugural class, but when did you start working with the Tribal Youth Council within the Cherokee Nation structure?
I think it was around 2014, 15.
Okay.
I became the advisor as the youth leadership manager at that time for education services. And I'm glad you brought that up because I think, youth, we have barriers to cope and to get along and to move forward. And we had those, I did as a youth. And what I found as the advisor was those barriers are still there, but they're just faster now because of technology.
Right.
And so I think that was a wide eye-opening thing for me, but we're just going to push forward and put everything positive that we can and focus on our culture and our language and helping one another, respecting one another, giving back, and helping our communities.
Tell me a little bit about what an individual might be looking at, what they could leave behind to make sure that that program continues.
Leave their legacy
Yeah.
I think that everything that we learn, we share our knowledge, and I think a lot of them have. And even in their profession, when they go off to do great things, we have probably hundreds of alumni that work here within the nation, but also in a private sector in various careers. And I think that that's a huge network for our youth. When you're looking for colleges or you're applying for jobs, you've got that network that you can get a resume letter from, or advice, even advice, or to be a mentor too. So I think just keep giving back, and a lot of them do. And I'm grateful that I still get phone calls from several of them today.
That is good. Well, no doubt that the Youth Council's been rooted in tradition, culture, our heritage. Tell me about some of those components because, I get to watch and listen to these individuals come in, and some of them may have not even, kind of come up on that subject of speaking the Cherokee language, but many times over time, they introduce themselves and so much. So tell me some about those traditional components, that culture or Cherokee lifeways.
Well, we usually have a language lesson every meeting. We usually meet monthly, once a month, but it's not just the meeting. It's also community service. It's also community meetings. I always had parents that said, whatever you're going to put into it, it's what you're going to get out of it. So be involved. Yeah. And so I always thought about that. And I always tried to provide opportunities for the youth, and they're there, and a lot of them are able to take advantage of everything 100%, but some aren't always, but that's okay because things happen. And I think with our language and culture, one project that we did that I'm very ecstatically proud of are the coloring books. Volume 1 was historical sites, Volume 2, traditional games, Volume 3, Cherokee art, and I'm not going to spill the beans on volume number 4, but it's in the works, and it's going to be something phenomenal. Well, you just wait and see because it's going to be great.
You've always been a very honest and giving individual, and I see these traits that rub off onto these youth, and I've seen them in your daughters. I've seen them in other individuals that you're close to. So let's talk a little bit about what age groups are we talking about for Tribal Youth Council?
Well, the age group is 15 to 22, and then we have youth representing our in-reservation districts, but as well as at large.
Right.
So we've got the full gamut,
Yes.
you know, to kind of mirror our tribal council.
You bet.
And they meet monthly, and we have learned how to the meeting structure, how to operate a meeting, how to conduct a meeting, parliamentary procedure, leadership skills.
You bet.
Anytime that you give a youth an opportunity to speak, that just adds to their confidence in speaking all the time. I've watched them blossom.
I think these individuals out there watching the show, they may want to know a little bit about that process, you know, from the application point. What are some of the things that they're going to need to get to add to that application?
So it's an online application
Okay.
now. Heather Fite is the current youth leadership manager that has oversight of the Tribal Youth Council, and she's come in and just stepped right up to the plate and done a fabulous job.
Right.
And so it's in good hands.
Yes,
But the online application is a process for your transcripts and reference letters.
Okay.
You want to be active in your community, community involvement, your school, be involved, and of course, have an interest in Cherokee Nation.
Yes.
Want to learn more.
Right.
Be proud to be Cherokee.
Right.
You know, you're going to write a couple of essays. Why do you want to be on the Tribal Youth Council?
Yeah,
You know?
fair question.
Yes.
For sure. Well, you know, Lisa, we've covered a lot here. I know, is there anything kind of moving forward? I know as many of the alumni from Tribal Youth Council or RTR, any other program, youth internship, summer work, they always have suggestions and things that they would love to see this evolve into. Is there anything special that you've been thinking about for a while that you would like to see within the Tribal Youth Council?
Just numerous opportunities, you know, whenever maybe as the leadership you're thinking of things, well, we ought to involve the youth, you know, or maybe some youth need to be involved in this.
You bet.
And I'm glad you bring that up because one thing that I forgot to mention was the Youth Council can be used as a youth voice, as a youth board. So one of our departments, if they're writing grants or there's a subject matter that comes across, go do a focus group with them, see what they have to say.
Absolutely. Thank you again for being here, Lisa.
Thank you.
Wado. And now back to you, Jen.
Well, Deputy Chief, it's great to hear from you and Lisa about all the great things that the Youth Council is doing, and I'm excited about who we have with us. I am now joined by two more amazing Cherokee Youth Council alumni, Camerin Fite James and Chelbie Turtle, both of whom now work for Cherokee Nation. Sio Nagat, thank you so much for being here.
Sio,
Absolutely,
of course. Yeah.
CO.
All right, so you've been through it. What first motivated you to apply for Cherokee Nation Youth Council? We'll start with Chelbie.
Yes, absolutely. So I actually served as Junior Miss Cherokee in 2014-15, and that was an incredible experience to really use the knowledge that I've gained throughout my life and be able to share about our history, language, and culture and government with the Cherokee people. And after concluding that year of service, I genuinely just wanted to keep learning. I have always prioritized striving to be a lifelong learner, and being in 7th, 8th grade at the time, I really just wanted to take advantage of the opportunities that are available for Cherokee youth. And it really just made sense to apply for the Tribal Youth Council. And I was very fortunate to move on and serve in that capacity. And I was just really looking forward to continuing my community engagement, continuing to learn, and wanting to keep building on the knowledge that I've gained.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Cameron, how about you?
You know, I've always been a firm believer that democracy requires direct participation, and that was exactly how I was going to participate, was through the Tribal Youth Council. It provided me an opportunity to engage and participate in the civic life of the Cherokee Nation in a way that really isn't available to other Cherokee youth. And I knew I wanted to participate in the Cherokee democracy and in the government, and so I took advantage of the opportunity to apply for the Youth Council as well, and I'm certainly glad that I did. And in addition to that, the Cherokee Nation government, I really think, sets an example, and they stand tall among other governments, and I just knew that I wanted to take part in it. I wanted to learn and do my part, and so the Youth Council is how I was able to do that.
That's a great way to put it. I hadn't heard that before. They stand tall. That's great. So how did your experience on the Youth Council influence your decision to pursue the job that you're serving now? Start with you, Cameron.
Well, I think it 100% contributed to who I am as a person and also to what I do for the nation today. It exposed me to numerous opportunities, career opportunities that I was not aware that existed at the Nation. I knew I had this passion for service, government service, but I wasn't quite sure how to channel that passion, and the Youth Council was an opportunity to do that. It it also shared with me, insight, firsthand insight into how you interact with your tribal leaders and your government. And so I was inspired by that, and I just kept participating and kept learning. And I'm thankful that I was able to do so, because I don't think that I would be working for the Cherokee Nation government today in this capacity if it wasn't for this opportunity.
And a quick follow-up to that, it seems like going through that process would kind of instill a lot of confidence in you as a Cherokee citizen, understanding and being able to feel like you could move around within the nation. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. I mean, I was 15, 16 years old at the time, and kind of shy, and it kind of, interacting with elected officials wasn't something that I just had this innate ability to do. And so it empowered me to just talk to my elected officials and learn and ask questions about, why is our government structured in the way that it is, and why do we do things in the way that we do. And I don't know that I would have had an opportunity to learn that at such a young age if it wasn't for the Youth Council.
Great. How about you, Chelbie?
Yes, I completely agree with Cameron. One of the things that I was really most looking forward to when joining the Tribal Youth Council was to learn about our government and to learn more about what tribal sovereignty truly means, and to see it in action every single day. And so I was really looking forward to what those opportunities would look like. And I can confidently say I walked away from the Tribal Youth Council a better person. Just overall, I gained incredible leadership skills, incredible connections, and most importantly, just a better look at what it means to be Cherokee, and what it means for the Cherokee Nation to be a sovereign government. And so that 100% influenced my decision to come back and work for Cherokee Nation, to continue serving the Cherokee people in a different capacity, and having the opportunity to engage with leaders and ask questions and really see the three branches of government and learn about what that means from a tribal perspective. I am excited to this fall begin embarking on a new journey by attending law school. And I can 100% say that without that experience on the youth council, I don't know if I would have exactly ended up on the same path. I probably would have, but I can definitely say that the Tribal Youth Council started that spark for me of wanting to pursue a career in the legal profession. And I'm looking forward to exploring what that looks like, but certainly wanting to be engaged in some level with federal Indian law one day.
Wow, that is music to all of our ears. We need you. It's so great to hear. Really impactful, it sounds like. So can both of you share a moment or an experience from your time on the Youth Council that had a lasting impact on you?
I think one thing that has always really stuck with me throughout my life was the opportunity to visit Cherokee, North Carolina. I believe the first trip that I took with the Youth Council was my second time getting to visit our homelands, and just being able to really see with my own eyes our history was something that it's hard to put into words what that means. And getting to see the places where decisions were made, where our history that we know today was being built, it was just a really incredible experience to see that with my own eyes and be able to grow a deeper connection and a better sense of what it means to be Cherokee. And I was very thankful too with that opportunity to have my genealogy done and be able to know exactly where my ancestors lived at one point. And that's just something incredibly special that I don't think I would have received had I not been given the opportunity to serve on the Tribal Youth Council. And I'm very grateful that I was able to experience that.
Absolutely. How about you, Cameron?
For me, I think it was a learning experience, and that was really understanding what sovereignty was. I carry that with me to this day. It was posed in a youth council application, and it was an essay in which said, define what sovereignty means to you. And as a 15-year-old, I think that was kind of an abstract idea, but it was the first time that I ever really stopped and understood and appreciated and reflected on what sovereignty really is. And I'm thankful for that opportunity to have been thinking about that for so long. And I think that I would not have if it wouldn't have been for that essay. And so I'm thankful for that learning opportunity. I definitely, it's stuck with me and I think about it often.
Yeah, so important. So, what would you all tell a young Cherokee citizen who's maybe considering applying to the Youth Council about how the experience can positively shape their future?
It was a tremendous opportunity in which sharpened my leadership toolkit. And whether you're like me and it inspires you to pursue a direct career within government service to the Cherokee Nation and the Cherokee people, or you're like many of my friends who were on the Youth Council and you learn about an opportunity that exists in film or language or education, and it sparks that interest in you. And then you engage with individuals who are doing that work for the tribe. I think that's very impactful. Also, it shared with me to be intentional about inclusion of culture and language, because any given Tribal Youth Council session included opportunities to learn about culture and history and art. And then that was immediately followed by working on an initiative for the government or meeting with an elected official. And that really clarified for me that the two go hand in hand. They're not separate, and you can't serve the government without an appreciation and practice of Cherokee culture.
Absolutely. Right. How about you, Chelbie?
Yes, I would certainly say to apply. I think that the Youth Council can truly be a pathway for wherever you're headed in life, whether that be choosing to go into public service or finding a different career in the health field, in film, in language. There's so many opportunities that the Youth Council can open up for you if you just give it a chance and apply. And I think what's really special too is that Cherokee youth are empowered in the Cherokee Nation. Those decisions are shaping our nation for generations to come, and youth are at the center of that. And so having the opportunity to be in rooms and engage with tribal leaders, to ask them questions, to, learn from their experience, learn from their journey, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And just to be able to leave a youth council meeting at the end of the day and realize that you walk away with a new piece of knowledge. You walk away with a connection with your peer. Something that really has always stuck out to me is that, we're collectively a body of Cherokee youth that are selected to serve and represent our peers. And being able to work on initiatives and bring together our experiences collectively was really, really inspiring. And just being able to see how we come from different communities, we come from different backgrounds, all of it is celebrated, and all of it is, we're working together to serve our people and serve our nation. And it's just one of the most incredible opportunities that I think any Cherokee youth can have. And I'm very thankful for the impact that it has on my life and for the impact that it continues to have on my life every single day. And I would 100% encourage every Cherokee youth to apply.
That's incredible to hear. I think probably one of the reasons that our government does stand tall, amongst others, is because we have programs like the Youth Council.
Absolutely.
And I know that it's important to our administration to always incorporate the perspectives of our young leaders. And for those of you who don't live in the Cherokee Nation and live outside of it, here in the community in Cherokee Nation, these two are well known. People know who Camerin and Chelbie are. They are, leaders, and they're younger, but they're leaders, and we appreciate you both. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Finally, we have a special treat for you. We are joined by a former member of the Cherokee Youth Council, Whitney Roach, who will share a story with us.
CO, today I'll be sharing a story with you about the ball game between the birds and the animals. The birds and the animals have always been at odds with each other. One always thought they were better than one another. The birds would look down as they were flying at the animals and point, say, "We're so much better than you, we control the skies." The animals would look up at the birds and say, "If you weren't so scared, you'd come down here and we'd stomp you down. We can shake the earth." And so back and forth they would go. And then one day they came together and they decided who really was the best of the groups, the birds or the animals. And they decided upon a ball game. As they were getting ready, they went their separate ways. They don't mess with each other during this time. And as they do, these two little creatures come up to the animals. Said, animals, specifically to the bear. He said, bear, could we please play with you guys? The bear looks at him and said, the ball's bigger than you guys. You cannot be on our team. You go away. You're not gonna help us any. And the animals were really discouraged, but they really wanted to play. They knew they would be good at this game. And so they went over to the birds, and the creature said, birds, please let us play with you. And they all thought, and they said, but you don't have wings, you're not a bird. And they said, well, whatever we need to do to play with you guys, we will do it. And so the birds thought, and they liked their spirit, the creatures. They tried. They were told they were too small. And when they asked the creatures, why didn't you ask the animals first? The creatures said, well, they said we were too small, but we knew we wanted to play. And so they really liked that spirit, and they decided that they were going to help these two little creatures out. Well, one of the birds goes over, and they grab some leather off of a drum. They cut it off. They come over to one of the little creatures, and they lay it across its back here. They tie it to its wrists and to its ankles. And they expands their wings, their new wings, and they said, go jump off that tree. Go see if you can fly. That animal, that little creature was real scared, but they signed up for it, so they were going to do it. So they crawl up to the top of that tree, they look over the branch, and they trust, and they jump off. As they jump off, that wind catches on that leather, now their wings, and they start flapping, and now they're flying around real fast. They come back down, and they land. They said, I can fly now, I can fly. And all the birds looked at him and said, your name's the bat. That's how our bat looks the way it does today. They look at this other creature, and they think, we don't have enough leather left to make wings. And they think, and they think, and they decide, they said, okay, have one bird on this side, one bird on this side. Grab their skin and pull it real hard. And they said, okay. And so one bird gets here and one bird gets here, and that little creature has its arms out like this. And those birds start pulling on its skin, right on its sides. As it's pulling, that little creature starts yelling out, it hurts. But finally, they stop. That little creature looks down, lifts up his arms, and looks, and he said, what am I supposed to do? These don't look like bats. They said, go jump off and go see how it works. So they trust it, because they signed up for that. And they go out to that tree branch, they look over, and they're kind of scared. They don't want to just trust the flying. So their decision, their plan, is to jump off and go to another branch. They think that's a little safer. So as that little creature jumps off and opens its wings up, it glides down to the other branch, a farther branch than what it thought it was going to be. And as it jumped around from limb to limb, from tree to tree, it finally came back to the birds. And the birds looked at it, and that little creature was so excited. The bird said, you are our flying squirrel. And so that's why our flying squirrels look the way they do today. The day came where the birds and the animals were going to play each other. And as the birds came up and the animals came up, the animals saw those two little creatures. And they said, I thought the birds just brought 2 extra balls. What are you guys doing here? And as they look at them, the little creatures, our bat and our flying squirrel, they look and they said, the birds let us play. They helped change us to make us better. So we're very excited. We're going to beat you guys. And they're very confident, and they have all that spirit that they had. And all the birds are looking at the animals, and the bear is just giving it to these little animals. And they get so mad, all the birds, and they said, bear, these 2 creatures, these 2 birds have more spirit in their little toe than you do in your entire body. Don't count somebody out just because they're smaller than you. And so bear rolls his eyes, and he's like, all right, let's play. And so that ball goes up in the air. As that ball goes up in the air, bear goes up, tries to grab this ball. But sure enough, bat swoops in, grabs that right out of his paws, and he starts flying around, and he tosses it to our flying squirrel. And our flying squirrel is gliding from tree to tree with that ball. And none of the animals can touch bat. None of the animals can touch flying squirrel. They're in the air. The animals never got a chance to even touch the ball. In fact, the ball never had a chance to even hit the earth. So, thanks to the bat and the flying squirrel, the birds won the ball game between the birds and the animals. Never let someone tell you you're too small, and sometimes you just might have to look at things a little differently to get to the result you want. Well done.
Widow Whitney, that is going to do it for us today. We hope you've enjoyed our show. The future of the Cherokee Nation is in good hands. Don't you agree? We have all of these amazing young leaders that the Cherokee Youth Council has given us over the years, and we are appreciative. Cherokees have no word for goodbye. We say, "Doda dog on hunt ye." Until we see each other again, Widow.